Thank you so much for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. We managed to find our way into a series that wasn't a 3-0, as the score in this series is already 1-1. And we're starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map on top of the player. In the top left-hand corner, it's the pink Zerg from Root Gaming, recently joined. Give it up for Jig, Canadian Zerg player. And his opponent, as we spawn in a very odd camera position, the red Protoss player. Give it up for Root Gaming's puCK in this team kill match. Let's fix that camera. There we go. All right, PVZ. I have no idea what happened in game number 1 and game number 2, but we hop in a blood boil for game number 3. And this is effectively, at least for us, turned into a best of 3 instead of a best of 5, with the score being tied up 1-1. Jig is going to be going for, it looks like a pretty standard play. Goes for the quick 3 hatcheries. Gets up a spawning pool also. Gets up his gas guys to start mining. One of the interesting notes about Blood Boil, for those who have not been paying too much attention to StarCraft or the new ladder map pool and everything, is that this in-base expansion does not have a second gas geyser. So it's a little bit less common for Protoss players to actually end up going for this. Instead, opt to go for that low ground one over here, which can be a little bit more vulnerable just because of this path over here. But a lot of Protoss players just feel like it's worth it for the extra gas geyser that you oftentimes need as a Protoss player. But puCK going to be going for the Twilight Council. Maybe just see a big Adept attack, or at least a 3-gate Adept opening. puCK is oftentimes known for playing pretty macro-oriented playstyle. Not really one for big all-ins. Occasionally, I would say, has become more comfortable throwing out some of the big all-in plays. Every, like, 1 in every 20 to 30 games or so, but for the most part, you end up seeing pretty typical playstyles out of puCK. He's also very well known for his Blink Stalker control, as well as his Disruptor control. But first Adept makes its way on in. And ooh, we got the Zealot Charge upgrade coming out. Now, for those who are not familiar with the most recent balance patch that happened, Zealot Charge upgrade now costs 100 less gas, 100 less minerals. Adept not quite able to make its way out of there. But this has been a huge thing that has prompted a lot of Protoss players to go for the charge upgrade a lot quicker and go into a charge lot Archon style. It's been very popular on the ladder, but we haven't seen too many events that have been taking advantage of it. In fact, WCS NA Challenger was played on the previous patch. So, no Protoss players from Europe were able to take advantage of this kind of buff. But we'll see what the North Americans like puCK can do with it. Roach Warren is started up, so Jig is going to go into that Roach Ravager composition. Not too surprising to see, but occasionally you do end up seeing some Zerg players out there that go into like Ling Bling Muta or something weird like that, versus especially like Chargelot Archon. I think it's a pretty effective way to try and play it out if you feel stylistically inclined to it. But oh man, we got 6 gateways being added on and charge and a warp prism. 8 gateways. Oh my god, we're going to up to 8 gateways. So this is 150% 9 gateways. Okay, this went from all in to puCK. Can you support this? Is this supportable on 2 bases? Maybe it is because it's Zealots, not Stalkers. Normally in my mind, as a Protoss player, I think 8 gateways is the maximum you could support on 2 bases, but maybe you can support more just because he didn't get that second or that third gas geyser at his natural. He's literally just going to be making a lot of Zealots, and even going to be mixing in a couple of Archons with that extra gas he's mining from that main base with these 2 gas geysers. So this is going to be a very interesting all-in. Does he have almost any all warped in? Yeah. Oh, wait a second. This is the second warp. Oh, puCK. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is going to be my new ladder build. My new ladder all-in, as he moves in with the first Warp Prism, is not going to find too many opportunities over here, but the Warp Prism is going to make it out of there unscathed in terms of actual damage outside of just shields that will repair up. He's going to warp in more than 4 Zealots over here. And this is going to walk straight in over to that low ground expansion. The other Warp Prism is going to try and find another opportunity, but it's getting focused right down. He's going to lose an opportunity to do aggression on multiple fronts, but this Zealot attack may be a little bit more successful. He's going after the hatchery. He's going to do damage very, very quickly to it. Needs another round of warp-ins over here, though, and does have enough gas for an Archon warp-in if he wants it, but he goes for the hatchery instead. He needs to do more damage than this. I know that this seems odd. Killing off an expansion just feels like a lot of damage, but puCK does not, I guess he kind of has a transition in the sense that he has the Temple Archives. He's actually getting up Storm of all things. I really thought this was only going to be used for Archons, but can puCK be okay with just that amount of damage? I feel like he needs to get more. He lost so many Zealots. He lost his War Prism. He doesn't have that many units out right now that I feel like could help him hold on versus a really big attack. He's at least got to buy time with his War Prism. And time he is buying, as Zealots do take quite a bit of time to kill. Spire is going to get focus fire down. He even uses charge on it to get that extra little bit of DPS. Not a single Muta will be made on this day, says puCK. A second Spire is immediately started up inside the main base, but this is going to give puCK a lot more time to react. The question is puCK going to be expecting the Spire to have been remade? Zell is not taking the best engagement over here as they're engaging against Jig's Roaches in a bit of a choke point, but no, they find a better angle over here, and a Zealot wins versus a Roach in a one-on-one fight. Not to mention, Charge makes it even a little bit better since they do have that extra damage they get from Charge. And you can see that over here. He's actually taking not the worst trades in the world. He's definitely a little bit further behind in terms of units lost, but now all those Roaches have been taken care of. The drones may have to come off the line to defend. Jig is down in the worker count, and he did manage to reestablish that third expansion, but hasn't really been able to mine from it all this time. Losing Queens, also setting him behind in terms of those Larva Injects. Where's that next Larva Inject now, says puCK. And now Storm is finished up. If he starts warping in High Templar, he can accumulate energy. This is actually insane. This is such a dirty and ridiculously awesome build. Oh man, even gets 2 Zealots into the main mineral line with another Warp Prism. He is just relentless with this. He's barely even mining gas. He's only mining over here. There's a couple of Ravagers trying to break the front though. This is where a lot of Jig's units are. He depowers a Robo and actually is going to be able to kill off the pylon again. He has one more pylon back over here that's close and overcharging, doing some good damage, but I think puCK has been able to hold on here so unbelievably well. These rocks may get knocked down, but then even after that, he's going to knock down some of these warp gates. Looks like more Zealots are being warped inside the main base, trying to get some more damage done. Drones being made, as 41 drones now out, but just a handful more Zealots is enough, I think, for puCK to push this back. Mothership Core can continue to whittle away at these Ravagers from the air. And there's not a whole lot that I think Jig can do about it as long as puCK is on point on that Mothership Core control. Both War Prisms still set up and doing some damage, or at least one of them is set up. Where's the other one? It looks like it may have actually gotten picked off or something by the Ravagers or Queen. There's 2 out on the map. Oh no, just backed up over here. Oh, he's going to come in for a flank. He realizes this is one of the last remaining hopes for Jig to pull himself back in this game, to deny a third for a lot longer than puCK really feels comfortable with. Oh, Sentry's coming in, going for a force field to prevent the retreat path. Archon also added in the mix, is not going to care about whether or not these Ravagers are up against the wall or what, as they have that slight little bit of range. Ravager shots are pretty good, but puCK gets a full cleanup. And when your opponent is making nothing but Roaches and they're on even supply, you know you're feeling good. You know you're in a great position. I love the fact that there is also that one observer scouting out to see whether his opponent is moving across the map with some more units. puCK is going to look to intercept, and I think he's going to be pretty successful with that interception. Oh, Warp Prism. I guess I don't even think it would take damage past shields with that Crystal Bile. Okay, Warp Prism over here finally has to move a little bit. Ravager's immediately able to get on top of it. I think that all their Corrosive Biles are on cooldown for a little bit. Warp Prism does get taken out, but not before those 5 Zealots come in and absolutely going to be able to wreak havoc, because the rest of the army kind of is a bit preoccupied by all of these Archons and Zealots at the front. These Zealots not actually being super productive. They really need to learn the definition of teamwork, but I think puCK's going to be quite content with them anyways. You know what? Just give them the promotion. They deserve it. They were a part of the winning team. And puCK, okay, he's going to be taking a kind of weird fight over here. Some Corrosive Biles do manage to land some pretty good hits on those Archons. All the Zealots being taken out, and now the Sentry's under attack. Jig is coming in with a surprisingly large number of units. The Immortals need to have that frontline tank of those Zealots to hold on a little bit longer, and that is going to be a GG gets called. puCK gonna walk away victorious in game number 3. No victory screen, because I actually totally forgot to update the nameplates. So we just hop straight back into this screen. Well done by puCK, giving me and Protoss is everywhere a very dirty ladder build. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. That's going to be so fun. I love the idea that it's not just about like a charge. It's not a typical charge lot Archon all in. He even has like this weird idea that he can maybe transition out a little bit better than you would expect. Even though he doesn't have a third or the third gas geyser, it seems like he can still maybe do okay just because of the fact that he has Storm researched. And also he's got so many warp prisms to buy time. He can afford to lose warp prisms during the attack. Obviously, you don't want to lose warp prisms during the attack, but you can afford to lose them and not just be down and out because you did. And that's a really, really cool aspect of this build. Now, Jig is going to have to find a way to deal with those all-ins. I don't know if that's actually what puCK has been doing for a majority of these games or what, if that was just a mix-up. But we hop onto Ascension Ire. Bit of a different map. We'll see you guys there. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Quick bracket update. It looks like puCK was able to advance on over BioIce 3-0. A big congratulations to puCK. He knows he's my boy. But here we are, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Oh my god. Top of two funky players. One of them going for a pool first. Give it up for the pink Zerg player from Root Gaming. It's Jig. Canadian Zerg up against his Protoss opponent up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. The red Protoss from Root Gaming. It's puCK. Fix that camera, and boom. We had a bit of a pylon block over at the natural. Looks like he just ended up canceling it, and the natural came down just a little bit later. puCK just being a bit annoying. Didn't go for a forge first or anything like that to go for a cannon rush. But did end up going for Gateway, Cybercore, then Nexus, so wasn't going for a Nexus first either, especially after seeing all of these Zerglings with that early probe scout. He's going to try and be annoying with this probe, probably try and cut off the pathing. Yeah, you can see it's on a regular move command. That's why these lings are sort of getting spread out. They're trying to get us around on it. They're getting so close. Oh. Get some damage done, but this Zealot should be able to prevent these lings from chasing too much further. Oh my god, it's not a complete wall. Second Zealot does pop out though. Oh my god, it's a weird trap, and puCK is going to take the better end of this. I think he even gets out, yeah, with that other Zealot. Oh my god. The disaster that turned into a miracle victory for puCK. Having even just one or two Zerglings that make their way past that wall and just run around inside your main base is the most annoying thing in the world. But look at this. Jig. 2-minute and 40-second burrow play coming out. What in the world are we watching? Skipping Zergling speed and going for burrow is so odd. I feel like this has got to be some sort of weird, I'm going to deny your third with burrow because all these Protoss players are going for charge instead, and they're investing all their time in getting the warp prisms and everything. So I'm going to do that, and maybe that'll also end up being useful for preventing drones from dying. But puCK is getting weirdly aggressive with these initial two Zealots. Looking for the third, he's not going to find it. And not finding a third at the 3-minute and 20-second mark, it's not incredibly odd, but it's definitely a little bit troublesome. Jig could just be playing extra safe right now, but if he doesn't see it in the next 30 seconds, that is a sign that you are about to be two-base all-in. And with the Roach Warren finished up and Roach is on the way with burrow, this is absolutely going to be a two-base all-in. In fact, I think puCK has already identified and said, yeah, you know what, this is a two-base all-in. He's got one Adept over here to confirm there is no third expansion. He can easily send the Shade down to this location if he really wants to, just to confirm, but no, he's going to send it actually over into the oh, I like this. Send it into the natural expansion to count the number of drones that he sees. That's another really good way to identify it. Looks like Resonating Glaives is going to be the thing. Chrono boosted out this time, not charged. And I think it's a wise decision. If you're defending behind your wall, you probably want units that aren't just going to get choked up in the wall. Despite the fact, and I feel like this was probably a game plan change, just based on the fact that he made these 2 initial Zealots, which would have been great if he was going for a charge upgrade. Because then he would just had 2 extra units that would benefit from that upgrade, but instead going to be mixing it up. Looks like these roaches taking a very roundabout path to get to puCK's 3rd expansion location. Oh, puCK is actually very far out. That sentry going to be a bit vulnerable. Taking a lot of damage. The Zealots acting as a bit of a buffer. They will end up losing their lives, or at least one of them will. Second one gets very low, but Footstone Overcharge is going to be able to save the low health one. Roaches can burrow, though, and regenerate that health so quickly. Look at how fast that health regenerates. 2-minute, 40-second burrow being utilized pretty damn well. 3rd expansion is underway, though. Gonna be finishing up pretty soon. Oh, is he gonna try and bait out Footstone Overcharge? Oh, yeah, he does. Baits out 1 more Footstone Overcharge. I believe there should be 2 more left. Yeah, there's gonna be 2 more left very soon. So this is actually gonna end up working out a bit against Jig, just because, well, he does manage to escape out of there. Wow, he escapes out of there with all 4 of the roaches. Right before the Observer pops. Good game sense to pop him out right there. Gets up to 49 workers, which is going to be enough to somewhat saturate your 3rd, but very, very barely get any kind of saturation on all 3 bases. Especially with the Adepts, going to be looking for a couple of drone kills. Finds 1, warps in a few more, and is going to be moving into that natural expansion, but there are a lot of roaches popping out. This is going to be somewhat worth it for puCK anyways, because he gets a scout out, then sees how many roaches are being made, so he knows, okay, wait a second, let's not actually try and maybe take that 3rd expansion right now, or if we do, play it very, very safe and conservative. That 1 burrowed Ling gonna be denying that 3rd location for a good bit longer. And there's another one over here. The Observer is out, though. He should be able to clean it up. Yep, there it is. And looks like puCK is set on grabbing a 3rd right now. I guess you don't want to fall too far behind. Jig did drone up to 61 workers. He's getting up a Spire as well. Ooh. Where is this gonna go for puCK? Because puCK is doing what the almost... Okay, I was going to say the traditional PvZ style has been, which has been a lot of Adepts, add on a bunch of Immortals, maybe add on some Archons later, but it's not the Archons. We see a Robo-Bay coming out. We see Blink coming out. We could be seeing Disruptors. If it was any other Protoss, I would actually be thinking, there's a good chance we might see some Colossus. They have been coming back into form, but with puCK, I'm not surprised if we see Disruptors. The only problem is he going to be at all prepared in the slightest for the Mutas? He did get start a Blink, so he will have some form, potentially, of a way to deal with the Mutas. Did he scout this out with a hallucination? Where is that Spire? Spire's in the main base. He hasn't seen it. He's getting up a double Stargates, though, so maybe just a bit of paranoia and preparing for it. That's going to work out really well for him. He's only got 1 Stalker that he's getting out. So cool, that 1 Stalker can follow around the Mutas. But there are the Mutas. 1 Photon Cannon sitting inside the main mineral line is going to be able to buy some time. Double Photon Overcharge could also be really, really effective, but unfortunately not so effective in the natural expansion. More effective in the main base, I would say, to be able to push those guys back. That alongside the Photon Cannon itself. Mothership Core has a couple more Photon Overcharges around. And those double Stargates are going to be finishing up. It's all about getting out those first couple of Phoenix. Once you get up to around 5 Phoenix, it really does feel like you can take on large numbers of Mutas. There's a big push out from Jig. puCK's gonna have to be so careful about how he splits up his army. He wants to probably keep it over by the 3rd, but he doesn't want to leave all these units very vulnerable without a lot of anti-air. The Stalkers are really the only form of anti-air right now. Only 1 Phoenix is going to be popping out. Okay, 2nd Phoenix is started up, but if the engagement happens over here, the Disruptor could easily be focused fired down by the Mutas. Well, now there are a couple of Stalkers in here. The Disruptor going to be able to get a good shot off. Oh my god, he's going to be able to get a potentially good shot. Killed up a handful of these roaches. Force Field's going to be going down, locking them in, but the roaches say, no, 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 we're here to stay. Who's getting trapped in here with who? The Mutas going after all the high-value targets except for the Disruptor, saying, you know what, it's on cooldown. I got time. I got such a big army that I can take this fight. And take it he does, as GG gets called. Jig ties up the series 2-2, and we're going to an ace match. And we got Root Cats in the chat saying Jig looks kind of dead here. You know what? I'm not actually even gonna like. This isn't even like I think a good opportunity to be like, oh man, look, the pro gamer called the game wrong. It's not even actually about that, because I do agree that I think Jig looked like he was in a pretty dire situation there. puCK was able to get up a third with all the pylons over there and Photon Overcharge ready to defend, but the mutas really just caught him so off guard, I feel like. And then the kind of spiraling to deal with the mutas, as soon as he realized it, or like a moment before he even confirmed them, it felt like he started preparing for them, thinking, oh god, what if he goes for mutas? But unfortunately for puCK, it just felt like that defense came up just a little bit. It was maybe too much of an investment and not quick enough, so he didn't hold off the mutas attack well enough to justify the double Stargate costs and everything else. So granted, I feel like it probably feels like you have to do that. But then the Roach follow-up behind it after having done a little bit of damage, puCK just really wasn't able to bounce back and recover and defend that very well. So, ends up losing the game, and now we're tied up as we hop onto Odyssey for game number 5. I want to remind you guys, this is a round of 16 match in the winner's bracket. This is one of the first matches being played in today's bracket, so still a lot of games. Oh my god, I'm Jon Snow versus puCK. puCK is happening right now. I know exactly what game I'm going to gun for immediately after this, but I'll see you guys there on Odyssey. Ladies and gentlemen, the game is already getting underway as we had a 14 pool opening from this man down here in the bottom right in the pink. Give it up for Root Gaming's Jig. OSC Roots Jig going for the 14 pool. I was going to say gasless, but he does throw down the gas right after this pool finishes up. Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player who went for the Gateway Scout with the Gateway on the low ground. Can he defend it? Give it up for Root Gaming's puCK. OSC Root Gaming's puCK. I'm sorry, Eddie. I will remember to say OSC Root instead of just Root. One day. One day. Oh boy. But puCK has scouted this out relatively early on, so he has a decent amount of time to defend against any kind of shenanigans, but it's only going to be 2 lings. I'm a bit surprised, because even though we missed game number 1 and game number 2 in this series, because we were casting another one, all of the games that we've seen, puCK is gone for immediate wall in on the low ground Gateway Scout. I don't know if that Zealot is well positioned. Okay. It is fine. They look like the same positioning as last game where those lings were able to get the surround in, but Jig realizing, no, the second Zealot is coming. I know it. Just like the last game. It was a trap. But no, second Zealot does pop out. Jig is just going to be hoping that he's been able to force a bit of an overreaction from puCK. Even just the chrono boost on the Gateway can maybe be a bit of a hit to the economy of puCK, because oftentimes you want to be chrono boosting out as many workers as possible in the early stages of the game. Do apologize, by the way, for the people in the chat. It auto times out links, because that is something I'll go into it later. I don't want to talk about it during the game, but it's something required of me for the partnership with Blizzard for Ladder Heroes. Either way, though, we have a Twilight Council coming out once again. No surprise over here. The question is puCK going to go back to that charge lot style that he was pretty effective with? No, he's going to be going for Resonating Glaives once again. Jig does go for a much faster third than he did in that last game. A lot easier when you're not going for hyper fast burrow play. but this is going to be a pretty quick Overlord speed as well, so he really wants to have a good idea of what his opponent is up to. That on top of that that Zergling speed, getting up the Evolution Chamber. The 14 pull really just does kind of throw me for a little bit of a loop. I wonder what he really wanted to do with this. Oh, Overlord drops. Wait a second. This Evolution Chamber is not for upgrade Sphere Dragon. What are you talking about? This is to try and do some damage. puCK does have some buildings over here that can scout out the Overlord, and doesn't seem like Jig has actually seen that the pylon and the gateways are over there, but he's going to be able to make his way around. I don't believe he ever came in vision for puCK. So this is going to catch puCK completely by surprise, especially with the double Adepts out in the middle of the map. Only drones being made, though, so those Adepts could do some potential counter damage as long as those Queens can't clean them up too quickly. Question is, how much counter damage is going to have to get done to equalize how much damage he's about to take? An overcharge immediately popped off. He loses a couple of workers. Looks like we don't have the WCS Game Hard overlay on, unfortunately. Where are those Adepts? Couple are sitting inside of his natural expansion, but he's still losing the probes to the target fire from Jig. Really nice job on that. There are finally those two Adepts. They got 1 on 6 kills, actually, so you know what? puCK did a pretty decent amount of damage. Looks like those Adepts got into the main base a little bit faster than I thought. 2 Lings gonna remain alive, and even gonna pick up into the Overlord. Speed Overlord, by the way, so he can just meander around inside the main base of puCK, who has absolutely 0 forms of anti-air besides Photon Overcharge. And continue to get a scout out, and as soon as he sees something a little bit vulnerable, he can just drop those Links and try and be annoying with them once again in that mineral line. Oh, that was the most awkward, almost 2 ships passing in the night ever, except those 2 ships were passing in broad daylight and everything was seen. puCK is the first one to realize it and gets a Roach in return for his attention. Gets a second Roach as well as he shades on forward, but these Adepts are going to start losing a good bit of hit points to that Queen. One of them ends up falling. Ooh, a nice Evolution Chamber. Tries to wall this off, but doesn't quite get the full wall off. The rest of the Adepts shade into the main base and getting a good number of worker kills once again. puCK is also down to just 43, but he brings his opponent down to 38. These are 2 Adepts going to be trying to shade on a little bit further out. Warp Prism also warping in a few more, saying, yeah, you know what? We'll continue this aggression a little bit further out. 3 more Adepts also in the Warp Prism. They're lower on health, but they are going to drop out. These Adepts at the National do get cleaned up. Looks like Jig has been able to push back a majority of this aggression, but behind this, puCK finishes up a 3rd expansion. A finished up a 3rd expansion is so much easier to defend than a starting up 3rd. All the pylons are there. The Immortals are now starting to pop out. puCK still potentially could end up losing this if Jig pumps out enough Roaches and catches puCK by surprise, but puCK is adding on 5 gateways. He's getting out the Immortals. I feel like he's doing everything right to secure a nice lead off of that Adept harassment. He's down a little bit in supply, but again, it's Roach supply that Jig has been making so far. Jig is going to be going for a 4th expansion. Oh, I would just want to commend Jig also on the small little things where you... Never mind. You know what? I thought he was going to go for a 4th expansion over here. I was going to commend him on the small things, like not taking any chances that there might be an Adept or something sitting over here. The Warp Prism is sitting over here with a couple of Adepts, and you want to take some Roaches with you to make sure that drone doesn't lose its life. Nope, actually is just mis-hotkeyed. He has a drone in his army control group. I tried to commend you, Jig. I tried. All right, Warp Prism still trying to find some more damage. Able to find a couple more kills, it looks like. Going after the Queen. Now focus firing down some drones. Loses 1 Adept, but picks up with the rest of them. Queen not taking too much damage, so still going to be able to push away the Warp Prism. Robotics Bay coming out for puCK once again, most likely, again for the Disruptors that he very much loves. But now I question that. He's getting up charge. And this is something that I learned very early on in Legacy of the Void. I got very excited about, wow, there's going to be Zealots, and there's also going to be Disruptors. What if I pair the 2 together? And then I realized I started disruptoring my own Zealots, and I realized the pairing doesn't go that well. puCK's control's a lot better than mine, though, so maybe he can make that work, but I'd be a little bit surprised if he doesn't go for Colossus with that kind of pairing of Zealot charge alongside Robotics Facility, or in Robotics Bay finishing up. I like the fact that Jig is going for another Overlord. Going to be dropping in a couple of these roaches now. Ooh, Gravitic Drive coming out. Speedy Warp Prisms. Going to be coming out very soon. But the Mutas. Actually, I think the Speed Warp Prism outruns a Muta, maybe? I actually forget. It's been a while since I've had to look at that unit interaction. But that may actually make the Robotics Bay worthwhile to keep that Warp Prism alive a little bit longer. Muta's now out. I don't believe puCK has seen any... No, he has seen the Spire, so he got to hallucinate Phoenix Scout out. That or it was just the Adepts that managed to make their way in. I think the Spire was thrown down after that. Pretty sure that was thrown down after. But Jig is going to take a very roundabout path regardless, because he doesn't want to chance it in case puCK is not aware about the Spire play. And of course, just making sure you don't get caught in the middle of the map by a couple of units. puCK really doesn't have a whole lot that can deal with this. He's got some photon cannons coming down now, but despite the fact that he got that scout on the Spire much earlier on. And here we go. Photon cannon not finished up. These mutas could very well just force a base trade out of puCK. As he's moving across the map, he has the Warp Prism. He does have a handful of Stalkers, but none of them have Blink, so they can't really maneuver around between bases very quickly. Photon Overcharge is going to be buying some time, but that is all of the Photon Overcharges used up now. puCK is pushing in with a very scary looking army. Roaches and Ravagers going to be trying to come in from the backside. Well, okay, it's not really going to be so much of a surround as much as it is you can't retreat path. Third expansion gets very low. Those force shields are absolutely beautiful. Locking out the entire army, taking out the third, and also securing himself a position to take out the fourth expansion. Even though puCK is going to be taking a surprisingly low amount of damage. Actually, he takes a really low amount of damage to those mutas. I thought this was going to be a game-ending amount of mutas, but realistically, he's still sitting at 42 workers. He hasn't actually lost that many workers in his third. He's done a great job defending, and now he's segmenting off more and more of the army. Force Steel's going down, and they are getting taken out by the Ravagers, but puCK is taking such efficient trades right now. Double the resources lost nearly for Jig. And puCK, he's taken out the two only mining bases, the effective mining bases for Jig. He's got this one mining natural expansion that's been around for almost 10 minutes now. Well, I mean, realistically, it probably took it a little bit faster than a minute into the game, but either way, it's been around for a long time. It's getting close to being mined out. Jig has got to make something happen with this army. But if he overcommits in over here, I feel like puCK is just going to return home, flank this army. Even the Stalkers with some Photon Overcharges could deal with this, I think. With good Blink Micro, okay, there's a lot of Ravagers that are throwing out some Corrosive Biles, making it harder, but you can't retreat easily from this, and puCK knows it. He continues to blink forward. Jig is going to take the best trades he can, given the situation. He got some pretty good Corrosive Biles, and oh my god, at the same time, mutas are able to get some good damage done inside the natural expansion, reducing puCK's worker count down to 36, but trying to find an escape route. puCK is, okay, he's not able to focus fire down the weakened muta. He's trying to target fire it down, but not quite able to. At the same time, he moves back across the map and says, okay, well, if you want to play it like this, if you really want to try and base trade me, I'll base trade you, friend. Army for Jig is highly reliant on good Corrosive Biles. It is almost entirely dependent on good Corrosive Biles. But he's going to need a lot of those just to knock down these force shields. And look at this positioning. Jig knows it. He's trying to walk his way around because he doesn't want to try and engage into this angle where the force shields are just going to lock him out. But now the Roach Horn's going to be going down. puCK could easily take out this natural, force shield over here, move into the main base, force shield the ramp repeatedly, even as the Corrosive Biles come down. I think Jig knows it. He's just going for it. Muta's trying to go after the Photon Cannon. They will be able to get it, but he is taking so many losses on the Muta count. I think the Stalkers are enough. They clean up one Muta, clean up a second Muta, third Muta gets very low. This should very well, by every single mean that I can think of, be puCK's game to lose. But he is losing a lot of workers over at this expansion. Probably wants at least one worker out on the map. Oh my god, puCK's returning home. He's leaving a handful of Zealots to clean this up, but there are mutas back at home. puCK, is he actually good? Okay, he does have enough resources to make another worker. There's no way this low number of mutas is going to be able to finally clean up all of the Nexus. There's still 2 Nexus alive, and he's got a handful of workers left alive as well. So he's not totally up a creek without a paddle, but oh, catching this would be huge. He blinks forward, but he's going to be blinking into the Corrosive Biles, takes some pretty big shots. still, I feel like he has a large enough army that he can take a bad engagement and still win this pretty handily. Jig needs to get out of here. Oh my god! Okay, well, this is starting to look better and better for Jig. He still has lost so much of his army, but he's reduced puCK's worker count down to 6. He's still got 23 workers. He's got a new base that's back up and mining. He can actually maybe turn this around with the mutas. Because when you don't have an economy, it's really, really hard to get up a defense versus the growing count of mutalisks. It's not about how many mutas there are right now. It's about the fact that there is still a Spire alive. There are 2 mutas being produced right now. He's still got mine. This is the fun thing about StarCraft, is that even if you lose most of your workers, you can still mine gas very effectively from multiple bases. It doesn't require many workers to mine gas. So even on 21 workers, you can mine from both his main base, which is admittedly getting close to being mined out, but also this other expansion. Problem is he going to give puCK an opportunity to, I guess, just end the game over here with this army? He does not have anything even remotely close to this. Even, I think, if every single one of these Corrosive Biles lands on every possible sentry and gets every single high-value target unit, it's just not going to be enough to take an engagement versus this. The Immortals alone may have been... Immortals with the Zealots. Take out the sentries and all the Stalkers. I think those 2 units could have probably won this engagement. Mutas are going to come back home, though. A little bit too late. Looks like Jig is going to be losing all of his units, and puCK is going to be advancing on to the winners round of 8. GG, well played. Big congratulations to puCK. And you know what? Big thank you to Jig for such a hard-fought series and for giving us some very entertaining games. Really enjoyed them. But that does mean puCK moves on to the winners round of 8. Like I mentioned before, it's going to be facing off versus... Drumroll. I can't drumroll while I also scroll down with my mouse. Scarlet. Going to be facing off versus Scarlet. So it's going to be a rematch from one of those qualifiers. The qualifier that Scarlet, the first qualifier that Scarlet knocked puCK out of was, I believe, the last time that they faced off against each other. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. By the way, big shout out to Joey. Nice username for all those map intros if you guys have been enjoying those, since I know Cats made a mention to that. But we will be hopping to a short break if you're not familiar with the channel. I do not go to breaks that just have a countdown timer. I go to breaks that have downtime content to fill, and as soon as I have a game, we'll be back with more actual WCS Challenger action.